Hello everyone, welcome once again to another Power Query Editor related tutorial in Power BI by Team Slidescope. In this part, we are learning about creating this employee data analysis dashboard. This is a very simple dashboard where we are seeing total hours worked by name and department, total hours worked by department, total hours worked by location. This is a concatenated column. This is employee ID, their first name, and then how we are using these icons to represent large values and small values. Count of employee ID by punctuality, this is a calculated column. Count of employee by department and punctuality, obviously two categories and one numerical column, and total hours worked by location. So we will use Power Query Editor here. In Power Query Editor, we will see use of add column, then how to create a custom column. In Home tab, we will see use of group by to create employee ID wise aggregate number of hours worked. We will also see usage if we have check-in time, check-out time in wrong format, then how, and again see how to clean them, replace values, and then create a calculated column using this formula that we will learn how to apply this. So everything that you see here will be discussed in this part. So let's get started with it. So let's start with our topic of discussion, that is 5 more useful features in Power Query Editor. In previous part we studied about 3 features of Power Query Editor where we applied it on the employee data. Now we are going to use some other Power Query Editor features to understand its usage. So the first feature is filter rows based on conditions. So we can do a lot of stuff using Power Query Editor, and one by one we will see its usage. Filter rows based on conditions is, let's say we want to filter those employees who worked in New York. How to do that is something that we are going to discuss now. And the data set that we have today is employees data set. In this data set you can see we have employee ID, name of the employee, in which department this employee works, date, the check-in time, the checkout time, and location. So based on this particular data, what we can do, we can click here, press Ctrl A and copy the entire data, or we can do it regularly also. We can simply copy and paste it, or we can get data as a CSV file. Now we will click on enter data here after copying the CSV file, and from here we will enter this. So after entering the data, let's rename as employee, so or employees data, and then we will click edit. So this will open Power Query Editor for us. So here we have Power Query Editor. Now in Power Query Editor you can see these are the different tabs like home, transform, add column, view column, tools. These kind of tabs are there, and we have to use these tools for different type of purposes. Now the first step is to filter the values which we are going to see today. So for that, open Power Query Editor and then go to the column you want to filter, for example location. Click the filter icon and you will see a list of values. Okay, so what we have learned is that we can create calculated tables in which we can have filters, but here also we are seeing a similar kind of example. So for example, here we have the location, and if I simply click here and instead of every location, if I only select New York, okay, so we can do that. Or what we can do, we can duplicate the employees data, and I will rename now in this duplicated value. So this is our original data, this is the duplicate data. So suppose someone asks you to filter something, so what you can do, obviously you can write filter index and do the same thing. But here also you can just go select that particular value, and now you will have only that data. Okay, so now what we can rename it as, we can rename it as New York employees or something like that. Okay, New York employees. So this is something that we can do. And now once we will close and apply this thing, remember in the first part we haven't done anything, but we have now New York employees, and this will simply give us a table, and this table will be present in our calculated table or in this section also, right? So this is the important thing. And now let's say we want to analyze something from the New York part or whatever, we can do that. So we can add a simple text box here, and we are adding this text box just to analyze employee data analysis. We are just creating this dashboard here, and in employee data analysis we will write employee data analysis dashboard. So we are following the same layout that we have followed so far, and we will just open 32 here, make it bold. We will select this text box, go to effects, and from here we can enable a shadow. We can add it like this. Now we can always go to insert and add a shape. So as a beginner, if you are feeling, if you are not able to decide what kind of design to go with, so I will like suggest you to go with this simple design. Just create a sidebar. In that sidebar use some dark color like this, and in your main heading use the same color. So then they will look kind of in theme, and then you can add some kind of image also here. So let me select this image for now. You can add any other image because we are doing employee data analysis, and this way you can prepare your layout. Don't forget to save your work. Now let's say we have to do something similar, but this time we have to use some DAX query. So here you can see we have the complete data. So here location was New York. Let's say we want to filter people of Austin also. So what is the way that we can do, or what type of query can we write to create that using DAX?
Maybe for the particular with a particular column.
So what should we do? We will simply go here in modeling tab, create a new table. Okay, let's say we will call it, although this will not be needed, but I am just writing Austin employees. Okay, and in Austin employees what I will do is I will write filter function. This filter function will create a calculated table. So remember that we did the same thing using Power Query Editor. Here we are using the same thing using filter function. So you will select your main table, that is employees table, and then what will be your filter expression here? Your filter, no, but you will select that column first of all, right? So you will write employees location equal to, and here you will write Austin. And when you will write Austin, so you will write in double quote, and then you will simply click OK. I'm sorry for the noise, but here you can see Austin employees, and this will produce the exact same result. Okay, like we did with New York employees, this will produce the exact same result with this.
We
So
told we can use new table with a
now as you are asking use of values, so let's say we want to print a table of all the departments. Okay, like only the distinct department names. So we will create a table called departments, and here we will write values employees and department. So this values function is also used to create a table, but Now you can see these values will give us this table only. And where can it be used? It can be used in filters, right? It can be used anywhere where we want to analyze data from departments. So this is the work of values function. If we see our employees table, so in our employees table, in each department there will be n number of employees, right? Or at each location there will be n number of employees. So there we can use summarize table. Okay, that is something that we are going to see today with the help of Power Query also, and with the help of DAX also. So for example, we go to modeling tab, create a new table, and we say department wise employees. So department wise employees. So we will create a table called summarize. In summarize table, we it will also return a table, but it will return a table grouped by the specified column. Okay, so here we will write table name as, first of all, whatever table, so we'll select the employees table, and then what is your group by column? What is the purpose? Department wise employees. So we will select department here. Now it is asking what are you going to name your column. So we will say count, or we will simply say employees count, right? This will be the name of output column. So one column is this department, other column is department count. So we are selecting a categorical value and a column name where we are going to put an aggregate expression. That aggregate expression is going to be distinct count of, or we can, because every employee ID is unique, so we will count employee name. Okay, so we will write count of employee ID. So this will create another table for us where we have department wise employees. So now you can see in every department, luckily for us, we have 10 employees. Let's say what if we write location wise? So we write location wise. What will we do, Mohan and Shadar? If I want to location wise, what change will I make here?
Change the employee department to location.
Location, simple, right? So this will give us this. So luckily in our case we have department wise also we have the same number, and location wise also. So this data set is just a synthetic data, but actual data will have different count of employees. So here you have to look at that. Okay, so you can see this, that this is first thing that we can do with Power Query Editor. You just saw that without doing anything else we can do that. Now second thing that we can do is time column cleaning. So if you see here, every employee's check-in time and check-out time are given on a particular date. Okay, so for example, if employee is Alice, what is their check-in time and check-out time? On 3 June. Then for some other person, Alice in sales department, this is the check-in time and check-out time. So we have different people in different departments. That is the case. Like same name is there, but we have department wise data also. Okay. So I will show you some use of Power Query Editor. Here we have employee ID, so that will automatically give each employee a unique value. But this time here, so this time here is given like 9.02.00 or 17.10. We all know that this is 9 a.m. 2 minutes, right? So but in our case we have to understand that this is not the correct time format. So in Power Query Editor, how will we go? So we will go to employees table and we will go to edit query. So this will take us to this, again take us back to our dashboard, our uh, Power Query Editor window, where we have the check-in time. So first thing that we have to do is, you can see, when we have these points, these decimals, so we have to replace them with column. If I go and change data type to time, okay, I am replacing current, so it will give me error. Why will it give me error? Because in my case, I have not, like, it is not able to understand. It is written as 9.02, but how time works is, if you have to if we'll replace values, and if we will replace this point with a colon, okay, remember this, we are replacing a point with a colon. When you will hit OK, now you will see that it is written as 9:02:00. So it is hour, minute and second format now. Okay. So this person logged in at or checked in at 9 a.m. 2 minutes 0 seconds. So here now when we will change type to time, now it will automatically do that. Okay. So, and when it is time, you will see a time icon over here. So this is very important. Similarly, we will do it in checkout time. So go replace values, value to find point, value to replace colon, and it is doing match entire cell content, replace using special characters. Those type of things are there. And now we will change its time again. Okay, change it to time again. Now we have the check-in time and checkout time value, and this is very important. And whatever you are doing, make sure you are closing and applying things. When you will close and apply things, then only you will be able to save it. So this is now our step number 2. Okay, and this way something like 9.02 will be converted to this. Okay, and then we can change its type. Now, why are we doing this? So, suppose a data set like this is given, where two dates are given. Okay, two dates are given, and you have to find date difference. You will not be able to, two times are given and you have to find time difference. So, you will not be able to find, or you will not be able to work unless and until you change it to a correct data type. Okay, now what is our objective? Add a custom column hours worked. So we want to create this column now, hours worked, and this time we will be doing it with the help of Power Query Editor. Okay, so we will open Power Query Editor, go to Home tab, and then we will go to Transform Data. Ensure time columns are proper. What I mean by that is, these icons are properly visible. These are time values. Okay, this date is also not in correct format, so you have to change this date to also date. So remember, everything you are doing here, Power Query Editor, in Power Query Editor, is to transform your data in a proper format, do data cleaning. Okay, now after in Home tab, when we'll go to transform data, then we will go to add column and add custom column. Okay, then we are going to use a formula. That formula is duration dot total hours. That this is the formula, that in we are selecting duration property, and from duration property we are going to count total hours, and time from checkout time minus time from check-in time. Okay, So in duration dot total hours, the two arguments that we have to provide is two parameters that we have to provide is the checkout time minus check-in time. So let's do that. So for that we will go to transform tab. In transform tab we will go to add column, sorry, and add column we will go to custom columns. Here we will write the column name as hours worked. Okay, and in hours worked we will now write duration dot total hours, and this way you have the formula now. And when you will click OK, so this will give you 8.13, 9.0, etc. What is
Sir,
happening now? Yeah.
in the custom column, can we do modification without the formula?
Yeah. If you have to do that, then you have DAX, right? Like another
Right.
way is to find out difference between two times using DAX. So now we have hours worked, and this kind of becomes our target field now, right? That we have hours worked by employee name, department name, we have location, right? Employee ID wise. So once it is created, we will go to home tab and close and apply. So now that we have a column that is kind of our target value. So what we have to do is that this is hours worked. So let's say we are creating a simple chart where we are writing employee ID because names are common, right? So now what we can do, one more thing is possible here, that if these names are common, then again using Power Query editor itself, we can merge two values and create a third column. For example, name this and this. Okay, so here you can see we have merge column, or we have merge query, we have transform data where we can count rows, pivot, unpivot, these different values can be done. So I'm showing you a simple way how to do that. So here we will create a new column, okay, and we will call it name dep or something. I'm just using this. And here we are going to use the concatenate function where we will write text1 and text2. So first I will select the employee name, comma, and then text2. So because this will make some unique values, and as a text2, what we will write concatenate once again, or we can use their employee ID because employee ID is always, something which is unique. So we are going to add two concatenates with a space or a dash or something. So it will be Alice 001, Bob, something like that. So now we have the unique names. If you will actually see the column, you have the unique names. So now what we will do on y-axis, we will bring these unique names, and on x-axis we will select hours worked, and this will give us an idea that many of these employees have worked for mostly 5 hours. Again, this is in this data set you are going to find most of the equal values, but at least we will learn the way to do that. And here again we will go to general tab, effects, we can enable shadow and all. This is bar, so we can go to bar setting and change its color to something like this. So this count of hours worked by this. Again, now problem is, okay, so we think that this is 5, but the problem is it is showing as count of hours worked. It should show as sum of hours worked. So even though this hours worked column is created, this is not being treated as a number. What we can do, we can use this also, or either in Power Query Editor also. So we can use a decimal number here, and now once we do decimal number, this becomes a number, and now when we will actually add that, so now we will see different values. So this is Diana with 51.13, and the lowest value is for Alice, employee 001. So this way we made sure that two employees, even if we have two Alice, so we are not seeing their name, or their two, we are not seeing their repeated name. Okay, so this is important. So this is sum of hours worked, and we can rename from here like total hours worked by employee name, or total hours worked by name, department, whatever. We can also go to title of them. This is something that I have explained in previous examples. We can select some title color from other values, make it bold, align it in center. As we have done for employee, we can also do this location wise. So we can copy this. So to copy, we can click here copy, and then we can click paste. So by doing copy and paste, we have name tab where instead of this we can select only department, and we can go with this vertical bar also. So this is total hours worked by department. So you can see as per the data, most number of hours worked is in HR department. Okay, we can now also see average of here, because it can be a case that we have more employees in HR, but if we see average work, so in on an average finance is there, but in total HR is there. So this is something that you can do, and we can select line and clustered also, but this is going to be a very simple data analysis dashboard, not anything complicated here. We are just building dashboard to support what we are learning, which is not necessary, but this is something you can see. And whatever values you are using in your filters, like department, location, you can use them like in your visuals, you can use them as filters also. So create slicer. In this slicer, add that name. For example, we can add department here. So it, and now we can give it a open value, because here we have only 4 or 5 options. So here we will go with this header, make it bold. You know, for our values, we can select a different color, like this color, make it bold. So this is department name. Similarly, we can copy this. Okay, so let me align it to properly, align it in center. Now here, instead of department, we can add location, and if you want to see employee ID wise, so you can add that employee name also. You can add date wise filter also, so we can copy it one more time, and we can add date here. So it is going to show, now it is showing date like this. What we can do in slicer setting, we can select between. So for date, we can select different type of setting. Now in date values, we have to select the font color, make it bold. So this is how you can prepare your slicers, filters. Now as we have studied so far, like for location, we have 4 or 5 locations. We can create a copy of this, and let's give some equal gap. So for location, we can choose a pie chart or a donut chart, and here we will add location, where you will be able to see that in Chicago, total hours worked is more. Now we are coming back to our Power Query Editor thing. So here we are using Power Query Editor. So just I will just mention it in heading. So employee data analysis dashboard, and we are doing with Power Query Editor. So Power Query Editor usage. So you can see that you can give different sizes to your heading, like you can format it in such a way. Next usage is, so we have used two features. One is filter rows, two is time column cleaning, and third is we have created the hours worked column. Okay. Next, we are going to learn group by, because this has been a confusion in some employees or some students. For here you can see uh, that whatever we did with location wise employees, okay, this is result of group by. Like whatever we are doing here, this is result of group by. We are grouping the data by employee name or employee department here, because if you will actually see the data, there are many employees who are from HR department, there are many employees who are from finance department, and while grouping them we select this name only one time, and if we are selecting a name that is appearing 4 5 times and we are selecting it only one time, that means we are grouping the data. And when you are grouping the data, then you have to do some kind of aggregation. So that's what we have done. That's aggregation is count here. That aggregation can be average, whatever. So this is location wise impulse. So this is something now that we have done with the help of DAX. We will try to see it using Power Query Editor. So we will again go to edit query, and here you can see calculate total hours worked by each employee across dates. So here you have important thing. So first we have our custom column created. To group by, you will go to transform and group by. There it will ask you to select a column. So we will select employee ID because that is something unique. And in operation we will use sum. We can use average, we can use minimum. So this is aggregated hours per employee. So here what we'll do is we will go to transform tab and we will find group by. So it is in home in transform section. So we will click on, so we have clicked on employee ID here, and remember we whatever we created in our uh, tax model is not reflected here. When we will do group by, so now it is asking what, so I will select the employee ID. It is asking what will be the new column name. So we will write hours worked. So we will write aggregate hours worked. Operation will be sum, column will be hours worked. So is this setting clear to you, Mohan and Chadar? In group by, we have first selected the column as this and we are creating. Now what it is going to do is it is going to change the entire table, right? So I will not do this directly, but I will duplicate my table and I will rename it as improvise hours work, something like that. That we can do there also, but we are learning how to do it without any kind of query or programming. So here we will select this and here we'll group by employee ID, AGG hours worked, and in after that in operation sum, and here we are going to write hours worked. click OK. So now it will automatically do that summary thing for us. In group by, let's say we want to see location wise number of employees, we want to see department wise something. So this is something that is automatically going to do that for us. So this is what you can do now, and you have to replicate all of that today. And once it is done, so you can now go and close and apply. Obviously this is something that we have already done, but let's say, so this is employee wise hours work. We can now create a table or a matrix visual also, and for the same thing that we have done here. So here we have used a combination. Here we can now use the same values. So we here in rows, let's put this employee ID. In values, let's put sum of aggregated hours worked. We can now go to table settings. So we can increase value size. We can also add there, this is header. So column header size can also be increased. Okay, now once it is like that, let's see some use of this matrix. See, there are two visuals, one is table, one is matrix. They have some different usage. In matrix, what you can do, you can go to cell element setting in visual part, and you can give a background color. Now what is this background color and on what logic is this background color? So you will see that employees who have worked more, those employees or their values are appearing in a dark color. So this background color automatically appears in this matrix visual. We can do one more thing. If I want to just change the font color, so now this will only change the font color for us. Light color font and dark color font. We can also enable data bars. These data bars will appear like this, and actually when you will arrange them, so you will be able to see in an arranged value, right? And you can actually change these colors. The positive bars will appear in this color, negative bars in this color, and it can change. Obviously data label values that we are seeing here, so we can change the text color for them like this and alternate text color for them like this. Okay, so that is something that you can do, but I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use this color for now. This is what you can do. What else can we do? We can also give them icons. So now these icons are also on a logic. So you can see if values are less than the average value, so these are all red diamonds. Something that is close to average is around orange triangle, and something that is above average or in a good range is being shown like this. You can go to FX and you can change these icons. You can give them different things, like if they are highest, we will select this icon. If they are in mid range, we'll select this icon, mid range icon. If they are lowest, we will select this icon. So you can do that as well. Okay, so actually I have done the reverse, but this is something that you can do. Okay, so if value is okay, so actually we have to do reverse. This is now okay. So now you are seeing like that. So everything that you see here is very important for us to use. So go and change these icons, alter their usage. So this is something that you can do. And if you want to show their name, you will not be able to show their name because in model first you have to create that. And remember, whatever we are doing, we never came to this model, but here you can see these tables are automatically being created. So if it is created, so in columns we can try to bring the employee name also. Let's try. So we will just bring them to values, and now it is there. So if you want to see, now we have this data here, okay, and we can actually reposition these icons, and it is showing a sum of aggregate hours work. That's why it is going away. So we will just write hours work. Now it will come as a single table, okay, in our width that we have. So this is something you have to do and you have to try today with this example. So this is something, this is the purpose of group by, okay.
Conditional.
Now let's come back to conditional column. Conditional column is to tag employees as late if check-in time is this, right? So what we can do is, like, we can go to add column and create a conditional column, okay. So here we have mentioned the steps, like tag employees as late. So just go to add column and conditional column, okay. Add column, conditional column. Now in this conditional column we have a lot of things. So for example, let's call it punctuality or something, right? So column name, let's say check-in time. So if it is less than or greater than, okay. So as per logic that I created, if check-in time is
Better than
greater than 9:30, then late, else on time. So we will just create a to value, is greater than, and we will write 9:30:00 something like that, okay. And it is giving us enter a time value, okay. So value, select a column. So we will select something like
time.
check-in time, okay. So here we have to write in a proper value. Just a minute. So you can see we have to write it like 9:30. If I write, it will show me issue. 19:30 it will accept, because 19:30 is actually up time. So that's why you have to write it like 09. Okay. So you will write 09:30 and then output ABC123. So we will write something like late, okay. So this is something that we will write, and else on time. So this is your else. So we will create this on time late, and now once we will go here and close and apply, then you will be able to see that this column is now added here, punctuality. So let's say we want to count how many employees were late, how many employees were on time, right? So how will we do that? We can create any or we can use any type of chart here, let's say pie chart. And here, because we know only two values are there, so we will use punctuality as a legend, and count of employees. So we will write employee ID here, and you can see 62% of times employees were on time, and 19 times or 38% of times they were late. So this is also, we can see. Now suppose I ask you department wise on time and late ratio. So already gave you like this instruction many times, that we have the ribbon chart here. In ribbon chart we can use two categories to answer something. So if we put department name here, and in legend we put punctuality, and in y-axis we simply write count of employees, right? So you will be able to see the answer, that in HR the ratio is more, then in marketing, then here, even in finance the ratio is more. In case of IT it is 3:3. So in no case or in no department we have more late comers than on time comers, but at least we can see that in which department it is more. And that's why when we will enable data labels here, we will be able to see the number. In data label you have options like you have value, like count of employee, aggregation is count. You can also show some other value here, right? So in your data labels you can select, for example, hours worked. Let's try that. So we can select sum of hours worked. So now it is showing sum of hours worked now. Graph is showing us late on time by punctuality by department, but value is it showing like this. So you can change these things, so which you are going to try today. So the thing that we are doing here is not first employee but count of employees, so that's why we are doing it. So this is a simple dashboard. Okay, we have used Power Query editors for use cases here. One use case, which is merge queries, is something that we have already done. But one use case is join this table to itself to compare if employee worked on consecutive days. So you can duplicate the table. You can merge original and duplicate on employee ID, where date equal to date plus 1. This is something that will require more explanation. This is something we are going to cover in the next part. But before that, all of you please try this one. Try creating this simple dashboard by using Power Query editor and applying different type of functions there. Okay, features there. So now we will connect in the part 2 of this, where we will discuss 5 or 6 more Power Query editor related features, and we'll apply them on this data set. Till then, have a nice day. And please subscribe to our channel to receive notifications about more DAX related, Power Query editor related stuff on our channel.